Action! Film!
So hi guys, I'm Joahnna Vergara and I'm your current IVP for Fusion, and today I'm here to run for president for next year. But to be honest with you guys, and as many of you know, this past year I've been pretty adamant against being on board next year, and more so being president. Being on board this year, I've had to go through a lot and I've had to sacrifice a lot, but in the beginning I would tell myself, you're shy, quiet, you're a follower, you're not a leader. You're an introvert. Are people going to respect you and listen to you like they would, one of those actually good leaders? But then I look back on what I accomplished and what I learned this year, from being on exec board, from facilitating a successful and relatively large winter retreat, from the family system, being a family head. It's hard at times, but when you keep trying and you see everyone together and you see them smiling, that's when it's worth it. From taking time out of my busy schedule to do something that's not even technically one of my responsibilities, but to do fusing, one, because I kind of said I would do it last year, but also because I have fun with it and everyone else has fun with it. And also the internship program, I was blessed this year to work with such a great group of interns. But to watch them grow this year and having meetings with them, it was kind of like running a mini board in a way, to be able to be there and give advice to them. And then in the end, just seeing how they actually ended up respecting me, looking up to me, and having faith in me, which made me realize, I don't think I'm done with Fusion. There's still a lot of stuff I want to do, and I'm not ready to leave yet. Next year, with this new emphasis on outreach, I want to make sure that starts off strong, because we're all college students, we're all going to graduate eventually. Any help with professionalism would be a great deal of help. I want to strengthen Allianza relations, which we say every year, but I'll find a way. I want to foster a healthy board environment where board members aren't afraid to say what they want to say, and where each and every board member gets the respect and gives respect that every human being deserves, and not just within board, but within the club as a whole. I want to make sure that Fusion stays a strong community for everyone, because Fusion's been my home these past few years, ever since I started college. I wasn't really close to my hall. This was my home, and I want to stick around. So with all that in mind, I finally came to the conclusion that, I'm ready to be next year's president.
Does anyone have any questions?
Being part of this year's current board, what would you say your most glaring criticisms of the board are?
Being part of a relatively new board, we had a lot of faults. We lack communication, we lack respect, and those are two big things I really want to fix this year, because when I go to my intern meetings, they're very lively, they respect each other, they're nice to each other, and that's how I want board to feel next year.
And then the follow-up would be, how do you plan on fixing these things?
Well, in order to fix these things, you have to lead by example. A good leader doesn't just say things, they lead by example. So if I want everyone to respect each other, I have to make that known, and I have to respect every individual and their opinion. Communication-wise, facilitate communication. I know sometimes it's hard, but, just bug people, like, hey, what do you think? What do you think? Kind of thing.
With what you said about emphasis on outreach, do you have any ideas of how you would go about that yet?
Yeah, actually, outreach, I'm a big fan of community service. Like, I actually tried one as kind of like an external a couple weeks ago, but, just for everyone to give back. Also, like, professionally, I want to look into company tours. When I was in high school, we went to, like, places like SpaceX, which, just seeing what they do, how it is out there in the professional world. Looking for internship and scholarship opportunities to send to people, like good relevant stuff.
time for one more question, if anyone wants to give one.
Well, speaking from experience, you're entering you're entering your third year of engineering. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure everyone's told you that it's going to be really difficult because of the workload and the work ethic you need to put into that is very surmounting, and it could be very overwhelming. Are you prepared to take on the presidential duties as well as these educational duties head on, all at the same time?
Yeah, actually I thought about this a lot too, but it's going to be a lot of work, but if you keep the right enthusiasm while doing your job, it's going to be stressful, it's going to be hard, but it'll be fun. Like this year I kind of tested it out. This quarter I'm taking 20 units. I was part of a pack-in. There's still fusion board, taking on fusing, and it's time consuming, it's tiring, but I'm having fun with all of it, so it's really not as bad.
Thank you, Joanna.
Hello everyone, I'm Reigan Alcaria. I'm a second-year electrical engineer major, and I want to be your guys' president next year. First off, I'll start off with just qualifications of why I think I'd be a good president for next year. There are three things I believe a good president, three characteristics I think they should have. One, they're selfless. The president always cares deeply for their club or any organization they put their work into. It's not just work, they're really passionate about that. And that leads me to the second characteristic. They're charismatic. A good president really is a good leader. He lets his voice, his action do the talking. People will follow through his example. And last but not least, a good president has a vision. I feel this year we accomplished so much as a board. And that's thanks to Andrew and everyone who's on board, and that we're able to do such a good job. But I believe we can still improve on that, even though we've made so many improvements, compared to last year. I want to keep adding on to this building that we're building. Yeah, and so I want to hopefully to expand our networks, to really get in touch with our engineering with the other engineering organizations out here, because we weren't able to this year. And all the onja to FASAE, the alumni especially. And aside from that, from all those busy qualifications, why I want to be president is because for one, it was really hard my first year to open up. It took a while. I was really closed-minded. I missed my home a lot just because I'm from NorCal and won't be able to see my family and friends. But thanks to Fusion, I have this outlet. Just being able, over here is the only place where I'm able to act stupid and do stupid stuff, because I love making you guys laugh. I like making myself laugh, and because of that, I'm able to really find myself as a person. It was really hard last year because again, I missed home a lot. But after so many thoughts, thinking throughout the summer, and being able to open up to our board members and to the general members, I feel that this club has truly done a lot for me, and I want to do as best as I can to be that light that people can look at as president, for the next generation to Fusion. And yeah, fast.
So we say things like trying to increase our engineering and other connections more. Do you have any specific things in mind to help with that?
I feel like the problem with this year was that we would wait for their response, and like even though it's not like our fault, you know, I feel like we should be able to extend more, you know, and hopefully they'll be able to open up as well and like meet us like halfway, or like if we're giving more than half, but still, I want to be the one to reach out first and foremost.
So you're coming from an executive position. Oh, bless you. You're coming from an executive position from this year, correct?
Yes.
What experiences and what kind of experiences and lessons have you taken from this year that you can use next year or improve upon as president?
Communication. Communication, like, is always a big issue. Even though we tried our best to communicate due to like time constraints and like not being able to like fully plan ahead, that led to miscommunication, and I guess a bunch of that comes from like for me personally, I would like to communicate like in person, but because all of us are busy, we're not. We had to rely on like social media or like things like that, you know, indirect communication. I feel what's best is that we communicate directly in person. Just because, you know, you can always misread a text or like a text message or whatever, because you can't hear a person's emotion, their conviction, their tone, you know. And I believe that gets the message across better, so it leads to less miscommunication. There's going to be, no doubt, like that's always going to be a problem for like every organization. But to improve upon that, I feel like that's the best way to go.
Time for one more question.
You said one of the 3 qualifications for presidency would be vision. What goals do you have in mind for next year in terms of maybe expansion or outreach?
As said before, like I wanted to like go more in depth in like reaching out to the other engineering organizations out there, because like we've tried collabing with SWE, but that I don't want the only engineering like that only ESO to reach out to. I know some people from like ESC, from MyAce, right? Is that the one? Yeah. And yeah, just because of my connections from other classes, I want to hopefully from that I'll be able to reach out to them, and not just engineering relations too. Like in Alianza, I want us to be more involved in it, because like I remember like going to JFAB, not a lot of us were able to make it, and like it's not on anyone's fault by all means, but because I feel like for like stuff like Alianza, that if we're able to plan ahead and like really set our schedules straight, that wouldn't have been an issue. So that was my input on it. But yeah, those are a few examples of how I want to expand.
Thank you very much.
Family members, pediatricians, cardiologists, almost everyone, as it seemed, told me that I would never be able to run or do any sport because of an injury that I sustained when I was 6. I was foolishly led by my older cousin to ride a motorcycle that did not have a pedal for me to put my feet on. After a few minutes, my right leg was sucked into the wheel and basically cut through my heel. It didn't help that I also have this thing called ventricular septal defect, which means I have a hole in my heart about the size of a nickel. It was devastating hearing people say, you can't never do that. I felt lesser than all the kids in the playground because they could play. But then one day, there was a race, and I decided, why not? I'll run. And I blew by all the kids. And so that's when I started wondering, why did they tell me I can't do this? So this is the first part. Being foolishly led. I don't feel that this club is in a position where we aren't doing well. I believe that we can still continue to grow. There's still so much we can do. So then in high school, I decided to join cross country. After I joined basketball and volleyball the previous years, it was like any other, unlike any other. The simplicity of it, just being able to run. But honestly, cross country is the most difficult sport. Not only do runners run against other people, but they run against themselves. Usually when athletes get fatigued, they signal the coach for a substitution. They usually are. Pushing through. The very last mile is where the devil's advocate takes a toll on me. Yeah. So, does anyone know the Fusion mission statement? No? Well, the Fusion mission statement says, Fusion exists to provide a community that fosters personal and professional growth of members through the facets of the field of engineering and Filipino culture. I want to be there to create a more holistic member, not just being Filipino, not just being engineering, because we're more than that. We're all humans, and my number one thing is community service. Serving others is our primary goal.
Do you have any questions for Aldrin?
To serve the community is your main platform. Do you have any specific ways in mind to do that?
Well, not only by reaching out through the ECI community, not just breaking the boundaries of where we are today in engineering, Alianza, ESL, but also moving further outside of ECI, reaching out to other boards that are outside of our little bubble here in Irvine, reaching out to people like in ECSD. They also have a Filipino engineering club. They are called Kaibigan Filipina. And I'd like to do collabs with them and see how they have their stuff going on down there.
As a previous board member, you must feel as though not everything you've done was achieved perfectly. What would you say your biggest regrets this year are?
Would be not following through. I think that's very important in a lot of things. A lot of us on the board, like as a whole, we would plan so many things that we want to do, but then we'd never follow through and we'd never finish strong. I think that's what it is. Not finishing strong.
What would you say was the biggest issue of this year's board, and how would you improve it?
Communication. Like, that's the main thing. I think that we're all afraid to be judged. We're all afraid to hear other people's opinions of ourselves because we have these walls that we like to bring up because we don't like to be attacked. We don't like to get pointed at what we're bad at. But it doesn't have to be that way, because all we need to do is communicate, talk to people, reaching out to them and actually speaking out as a whole together. Everyone has a voice, and everyone deserves to be able to be heard. I mean, it sounds really cliche, everyone says that, but it's true. It's not because that it's just cliche and that's what's important, it's what we need to do. We need to speak up for what we believe in, and sticking with it.
So now we'll bring in all the candidates for your Q&A.
Okay.
So with that, do we have any questions for your candidates? We'll start off.
Alright, so speaking as colleagues, why shouldn't the two other opponents wouldn't be fit for the presidency? That's what I understand.
It sounds very familiar.
And give an honest answer, please.
Okay. Well, to me, I like working under pressure. I mean, I think we all do. Procrastination, you feel the last burst of minutes. Cramming down as you write that paper, or you try to finish that physics problem you can't figure out for so long. But yeah, I like working under pressure. I don't like people not talking. I try to get everyone's opinion no matter how much I disagree with it. I like to see everything from every angle. So.
As for me, I feel because of being on board this year and like working, I realized like time management is such a huge skill to learn, and I feel like I was able to achieve that to a degree. It's still hard, because we're all college students, but because of that, I feel that unlike Aldrin, I like to plan ahead so that I don't get swamped with work, and so I'm able to branch out my time more and really give the time to divide my energy to each task. In the end, though, I'm gonna get swamped, but like still, I want to try my best to get ahead.
The question kind of, okay. Yeah. Well, I guess for me, I like to spend a lot of my time really getting to know everyone and reaching out to everyone. Oftentimes I see like other people on board just kind of going with themselves, and even up until now, I have to like tell people like, hey, go branch out, go talk to other people. So I guess that's it.
You guys kind of changed the question, so I'll ask again. Why should the other two candidates not be president?
So that's the first thing. Do this on purpose. Alright, yeah, I guess like with Aldrin, yeah, he tends, what he just said, like he tends to, like he likes working under pressure, but I feel like that's a negative, just because you don't want to, like for me personally, I don't like to do stuff last minute, just because just the pressure it can be overbearing at times, and like you don't want to go in over your head, and so I feel with proper time management, you're able to avoid that. With Joe, let's see, I guess. Dodge the question. With Joe, I feel like I guess I'm able to like for like board meetings. I feel like I talk more, or I try to or like I make like more of an effort. Like I don't know how to word this without sounding mean. Honesty. But yeah, like recently like these board meetings and like just trying to like get everyone to talk and communicate, because like lately like communication was always an issue, and so and just trying to be that person to spark it. That's always tried to do. Yeah.
I guess for Aldrin, I'd say the same thing. Like, I don't like to wait last minute, even though sometimes I do. I'd rather stay organized and plan ahead. Like, working under pressure, I guess sometimes he'll forget stuff. And like for me, I have like this whole planner where I have like the stuff I need to buy, the stuff I need to do, my homework, and then there's like this whole section at the bottom for like stuff I need to do for Fusion, and I have to make sure I get those done or else I feel really guilty. For Reigan, let's say oftentimes, I guess, at general meetings or like outside events, he's often fairly quiet. Doesn't always mingle with all the general members, I guess.
This hurts me so much. What do you guys? But for Reigan, can't answer. I don't think that they have any qualities that hurt them. I think they're very organized. I think they work well with communicating with others, and they always have a plan of action. And I'm sorry, Lord, I really can't find anything that I would attack. I can't.
Following similar, going along with what the previous question was, there's always something that's gonna happen. There's gonna be stress that's gonna happen. Murphy's Law, you know. So how are you guys going to deal with those stressful moments, those problems that are going to happen? What is your plan B? You know?
Well, yeah, there's always stuff that's gonna happen, and you know, as president, if I can't deal with it alone, there's a whole board of people willing to help out and, you know, add their input. So if I can't handle it, or if it's like a really big situation, I'll go to my board. If it's like a conflict within board, I'd address exec board first if I can't handle it.
Depending on how the problem is, whether it's in board or it's in outside of Fusion, but I think being able to adapt to whatever is happening is very key. Not being so close-minded that we can't put something that we plan aside to address the problem first. And let's say there is a problem in board. I think that one thing that was really bothering me this year was when we dealt with conflict inside the board, it was mainly executive board. And whenever that was the case, there was a lot of miscommunication, and people's sides weren't heard very well. So a lot of things kept falling through, and there was still a lot of tension, a lot of that bad taste in your mouth after you wake up. It's just, I think that we should have everyone on board who can hear what the problem is. I think we should all attack it, everyone together. Everyone being able to see that problem and being able to input some sort of solution, because I think everyone who's, let's say there's a problem with one member attacking another one, I think both should be heard by everyone, and then we all compromise to find a solution. And I think it's to be able to adapt.
As for me, similar to their answers, I would like to talk with my board. I would first go to executive board, and even though like this year, like because the way how we as exec board, miscommunication happened, as Aldrin said, and I feel like that was because some of these problems were addressed too late, and before by the time the problem it's gotten too serious, it was too hard to find the best solution for it. But I would feel if I were president, I would make sure we as exec board meet regularly, and that we settle these issues first and foremost first. Just being able to make sure we're on the same page, because that was part of the problem with our board, that we weren't thinking cohesively. And so I'm just saying this to avoid problem, but yeah, just going back to your question, I would talk with exec board and then bring up with the on board.
So just kind of moving on, like just not focusing on the past but the future. What would you say is a glaring weakness for yourself, and how do you think it will affect your leadership as a president in the future?
I think my biggest weakness is, I guess they pointed it out, is working under pressure and putting things off a little bit to the last minute. But yeah, I think that's what I need to work on. Time management is very key. I've been working really well with it this year because I used to work in Subway, and then I knew that that wasn't what I needed while being on board and doing engineering. Being able to balance all those things was very difficult. So I knew I had to cut one out. Putting all my efforts into Fusion is all I want to do.
As for me, when things start to get stressful, I start treating it as like a job or like something I just have to get done, and that can be a big weakness for me because, like, as a president, you want to always be energetic, have charisma, and not let it treat it as like busy work, because you don't want to do anything as busy work. You want to treat everything with as much energy as you can. And for me, I tend to put a lot of stuff on my plate. Like last quarter, I went through a lot of troubles academically. I was able to fix that this quarter, but that just shows that whenever like stress happens like that, I tend to like shake pretty easy. At that, I guess that would be my weakness.
My weakness is, although I've been working on it, I usually go back to like my introverted state. There are times when I kind of just want to be alone. There's also times when my body sometimes doesn't cooperate with me. It's like I'm healthy, but I'm not like perfectly healthy. And some days, my body just can't handle. And I tend to just pull away from everything, which as president, you have to be there all the time, and you have to be there for your board, especially when they need you. But lately, I've been learning to kind of feed off the energy of the people around me. Even when days are bad, like the people around me are the ones that bring me back up. So it's definitely something I need to work on, keeping the enthusiasm level up there.
We'll take one from Sherry.
So I've seen this go both ways, so please be honest. If not elected president, would you continue to contribute to Fusion, or would you move on to other endeavors? And if you stay with Fusion, what would you do?
For me, I talked about this with some people, but if I weren't elected as president, I would probably step away from the club. I want to focus. I would want to focus more on school and like especially research and internship opportunities, because I don't want to wait till a senior year to do that stuff. I want to get ahead and do it junior year. So yeah, not elected, I'll most likely do that.
Yeah, for me, if I'm not elected, I definitely want to look into like jobs, internships, and research. But at the same time, I wouldn't completely pull away from the club. I'd still be coming out. If anything, I'd make Fusing start up again next year.
I guess same thing with me. I would try to focus more on school, try to find an internship. Like Joe said, I'd still come out. I'd still come out as general member, be there for support for anyone who's on board. Because I know it's hard. It's tough when you think that no one's there for you and feel like everything's just piling up. But there's always someone there, and I just want to be that person.
We have time for one more question, so we'll take it from Aldrin.
Looking back on this year, what would you do similarly to the president of this year, and what would you do differently?
Well, differently, I definitely changed the board atmosphere. I know this year we lacked a lot of communication, respect. We were a relatively new board, so we made a lot of mistakes, but I've been able to like pinpoint those mistakes, and I'm determined to make sure that they don't happen next year. Similarly, I have a lot of respect for all the effort he put in, even when things went not as expected, but just pushing us to try new things, to really push ourselves to go out there. I'd still do that.
Can you ask the question?
What would you do similarly and what would you do differently as the president did this year?
Differently. I would try to speak up more to everyone on board. Try to create a more cohesive atmosphere, like Joe said. I think that, like in basketball or any sport, I think that chemistry is very important. If you don't click right away with those around you when you're working together in some sort of project, then there's just going to be a lot of tension. A lot of ideas coming out from different angles and people just not agreeing at all. So I think chemistry is very important. That's what I would try to do. Do a lot more board activities that made us do teamwork opportunities. Does that make sense? Similarly, I would be that person who takes charge of when things are going out of balance. Trying to keep the boat steady as it goes through troubled waters, no matter the problem, and keeping a straight head, being very logical, being very calm, and just standing up for any problems that there are.
As for me, the same. I feel Andrew did a really good job on this, but just keeping level-headed, and despite like the conflicts that happened within the board, that I really respected how much effort he put into the club, and I feel like despite what some people might think, or like it was the way he handled things was they think they should have been handled differently. I agreed with them, and I feel just the how much effort he put into it was really admirable for me, and I want to do the same, not give up basically. Andrew never gave up on us, and that's what I would do the same. Differently though, going back to some of the previous questions, some conflicts could have been addressed way sooner than it should have been, and I felt that I would do something differently with just. Address it right when it starts before it grows into a bigger problem. Yeah, that's what I would do.